Hi, welcome back to Conversations with Karen and Kat, the podcast where we connect with powerful change makers, visionaries, and everyday heroes who are shaping culture and community. I'm Karen Scott Green,
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
and today we are honored to welcome Dr. Tracy Baynes. She is a scientist, an educator, and transformative leader. Dr. Baynes is the founder and CEO of STEP, the Student Expedition Program. It's a groundbreaking college access and leadership initiative serving low income high school students across Arizona. After earning her doctorate degree in oceanography from the renowned Scripps Institution of Oceanography, that is a mouthful. Dr.
Okay.
Tracy traded coral reef research for the classroom,
hmm
teaching and designing immersive field courses from Biosphere 2 to tall ship ocean semesters. Since founding STEP in 2004, she has helped empower hundreds of students with an incredible 96% enrolling in or graduating from college. Please welcome Dr. Tracy Baynes.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Karen.
Dr. Tracy. First off, we have to ask you what inspired your transition from oceanography research to dedicating your life to empowering young people and getting them into STEM.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange pathway. But for years, I was teaching these experiential courses for college students, right? So I was going out to sea on a tall ship, sailing vessel, with college students, and they'd go out for a whole semester, and we do a full semester of courses. But they would also be crew members on the ship, so they'd have to stand watch. They'd have to scrub the toilets, help with the meals, right? Stand watch at night, that sort of thing. Well, I'd get done with these programs and I'd be like, wow, these kids have really been transformed because they've been given this responsibility, right? I was also teaching with Outward Bound and with the National Outdoor Leadership School.
Okay.
We're going out in the wilderness, same kind of thing, really transformative. Okay.
And serving the same kind of students too, the same communities.
So yeah, kind of, and basically I was realizing after years of doing that, I was mostly working with wealthy kids. And I was like, it started to make me think, well, where is everybody else?
Right.
And I dove into the education statistics. And you see, if you go into education, you see right away that there's a persistent educational achievement gap between low income and high income kids. And when you look at statistics like that, you say, that's not on ability alone.
It's
right?
access.
Yeah. So what is going on? Right. So the scientist in me was like, I need to research this. Right. And so I spent about a year talking to educators and, at predominantly low income high schools. And I would just meet with teachers and counselors and principals. And I would just say, what is going on with this statistic? And they said, there's so many students that we personally have known that have been taking the most challenging courses. They've been getting straight A's. They've been doing really well, coming from a low income background. And everybody thinks they're on track. Nobody's paying attention to them because they're not causing any problems, right? But nobody's also advising them, and they don't go to college. Yeah.
That next step, that's where the guidance counselor.
That's where the guidance comes in. And it was just like, for me, it was just like, whoa, oh my gosh, I want to work with these gems, right? That are willing to work hard and know that education is, their future. I want to help guide them, and to college. So the way I started it to begin with was, and I hate to say just, but it was just a 3-week expedition to Alaska sea kayaking. Okay.
You got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
Anything small. 3 weeks in Alaska for low income students who may not have ever been outside of the state. And then taking them to, up to Alaska, that's a big, I mean, I haven't been to Alaska. I'm 56 years old.
Honestly. honestly, you know, Karen and Kat, if I could have put them on the moon, I would have.
Amen.
Right? The whole point is to get them as far away from their known world as possible, put them in a challenging but doable experience. Of course, they don't think it is when they first get out there. And then having that transformation happen over the span of 3 weeks. And it really does take 3 weeks. Like the first week, they're just, honestly, the first week, if I gave them a go home free card, they'd go home. Because we made a big mistake going out here. Because, you know, I love Alaska, but it's cold, wet, and buggy.
So even in the summer?
Yes, it's a rainforest up there. So, you know, there could be periods of 5 days where it's pouring rain. In fact, I can tell you, I was an instructor for the first 10 years on every single step course. And I should say, we partner with the National Outdoor Leadership School to do this. I knew I didn't have to reinvent the wheel, right? So we partner with an organization that's been doing this and is the leader in this kind of thing, right? But, you know, I can tell you, I was out there many times where in the 5-day period, it's raining the entire time. And I'm thinking to myself, what was I thinking? Honestly, doing this. So it's rough. It's challenging. But when the students get through that and when they get put in a foreign environment, they learn how to first just survive. And there's 3 instructors, very, you know, we're not just throwing them out there. There's 3 very, very experienced instructors with them, guiding them through this whole thing. But, you know, they get to the second week, they start to understand how to camp, how to set up tent, how to kayak, how to, you know, all this stuff. By the 3rd week, they're thriving and they're leading their peers. And that transformation is huge. It's massive. They come back so much more confident, really helpful, really recognizing how much their parents or their single mom does for them, and then coming back and helping, you know, and parents say to us,
that's transformative.
Really, like, what did you do to my kids?
Have
like
appreciation.
They came back an adult, you know, so it's really impactful, right? And I knew that was going to be the case because I've been working in these kinds of things for years. But then we did that for the first several years where it was, again, you know, just this expedition. And I would ask my students, hey, where are you applying to college? And they would tell me their local community college and Stanford.
No in between.
No in between. Or maybe they'd say their local Arizona university.
Yeah.
And Stanford.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh my gosh, who's talking to these kids about this? Who's guiding them through this process? So the straw that broke the camel's back was a young girl came to me. And of course, when you go out for 3 weeks with them in the Alaskan wilderness, they trust you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so a lot of this is about relationship and trust. Right. So she came to me and I said, where are you applying? And she said, her local community college and Smith College. And Smith College, I was like, oh my gosh, how does she, the only reason she even knows anything about Smith College is because it came out of my mouth. It was one of the schools I went to. Okay. And so she didn't know Smith College from a hole in the wall, but I had talked about it and she trusted me. So she decided that was one of the schools she wanted to go to. So I got really excited and said, oh my gosh, show me your transcript. I'm going to help you through this process. I'm going to get you to Smith College. This is great. She gave me her transcript. And I kid you not. I look at this transcript, straight A's, not a single challenging course. Not a single honors, not a single advanced placement. Okay. So here's a girl who's been getting straight A's and no educator at her school thought to put her in a harder
into
course.
College prep classes.
Yes.
So
that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I was like, we got to jump in the deep end of the pool. Nobody is advising these students. And listen, you look at the counselor-student ratio in Arizona. It's over 600 students to one counselor.
Oh my goodness!
So I don't care. Yeah, I don't care how passionate you are as a counselor.
You can't touch 600 students.
You can't do it. You know.
Cannot.
So that's where we come in. So honestly, now we become the student's college parent. So they start in our program in their sophomore year of high school. We work with them all the way through high school graduation.
Oh, that's good.
And we're doing monthly workshops. We're introducing them to the schools around the country that meet full financial need, that are affordable for them. right? That will really cover their full need. If they need the money for everything, those schools will cover it.
Okay.
And
so you walk them. Do you also help them with financial aid applications, through scholarship applications?
we help them and their parents, because their parents are a big part of that financial aid process.
Amen.
And to be honest with you, I don't know how any low-income family that is the first would be the first in their, the kids would be the first in their family. I don't see how they even navigate that process. It is not
As
simple.
someone who has several degrees, I find FAFSA very confusing. And keeping up with like the scholarship applications for my students, like I actually,
it's a lot.
For the last child, I actually ended up hiring somebody to do the scholarship application, just because I was like, this is too much. It's anxiety inducing. But I'm also aware that not everybody has the ability or even access to be able to hire someone to do their kid, to assist
or
with their
even know
kids'
what forms you're supposed to fill out, or everything.
And when you have educators and counselors who are overwhelmed with the ratio that you just mentioned in Arizona, we only can imagine what the rest of the United States look like. And I have so many questions for you, because I know one thing that you hit on, exposure, environment, and experience, is definitely needed in order to help broaden everybody, right? Not just our students, but parents too, because you don't know what you don't know. So we, as parents, may feel ashamed to say, I don't know how to help my kid go to college, but they're doing great in school. So that's fine. Let's just go ahead. But I love the fact that you brought in the parents, because it's a decision that they both need to make as a family, as a unit, but then that they're empowering them so that they can help them along the way. So that leads me to my question. When the young people enroll in your STEM programs and you help them get off to college, is there some follow-up? Is it some hand holding during that process? Or how does that piece look once we get them to college?
Well, okay, so I need to paint a bit more of a bigger picture for you, right? So who do we work with? We certainly have, some of our students go to the Arizona universities, right? But the only schools outside of Arizona that we even expose our students to are the ones that meet full financial need. Okay. So that's the only way you're getting on our list.
Gotcha.
If you meet full, you guarantee, if they get admitted to your school, you as a school are saying, we will guarantee that we will meet your family's full financial need.
Wow.
How did you get there? That's a conversation, but go ahead.
It's huge.
You have to give us the story time on that.
You got to get that. You got to give us on that. But go ahead, but put a pin in it to come back. How did you create that partnership?
Yeah. So this is the thing, that makes me so crazy when we're talking about, when you hear, student debt, blah, blah, it's so impossible to go to these colleges. And you look at their price tags, they're $90,000, right? But if you're a low income student that has taken the most challenging courses at your school and you've done really well, and those schools think you can handle their rigor, they're looking for you. Okay. And they will pay for you. They will literally cover you to go to their school. Like it is incredibly affordable for low income students if they've done the hard work in high school.
Okay. But they have to get with the right people to be able to even know what the hard work is.
Exactly. So the moment they come into our program, we're like, we want you to take the most challenging courses at school. And this is another thing I'll tell you guys that I kind of noticed. I've noticed over the years, and noticed when I first started this, there's often a double standard in how low-income students are treated. And
you don't say. Tracy, what?
I know. It's a shocker. I know. It's a shocker. So, but,
I love you, Tracy.
And out of like, just not knowing, counselors might say, oh, you really should go to a community college. Get your gen eds out of the way, right? But actually, a student that's doing really well in school and taking the, like, that is actually a more difficult path for them than going directly to a four-year institution.
Most students who go to two-year colleges don't end up finishing.
Right.
Exactly right, Karen.
Life just starts getting
exactly right. There's a lot of ways to derail that. a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so especially if you take a low-income kid, say a low-income kid in Arizona, who's also got the responsibilities of taking care of their younger siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you take them from all those responsibilities that they have and you put them on a college campus where they're completely supported and they're just a college student.
And can focus on nothing but that. They don't have to work a part-time job. They don't have to
being a college student.
Just be a college student.
So that speaks to, Kat, what you were talking about, which is, well, what happens once you get them? So we're working with schools that are going to give them incredible support.
Okay.
We also incredible support in just everything that they're going to deal with. Another key piece of that is we work on self-advocacy skills. That's critical. Okay. Yes. Our whole goal is that when they graduate from STEP, they can take it from here. So we need to equip them with the tools to be able to seek out resources, to not take no for an answer.
Empowerment.
To empower them to be able to navigate not only college, but life and how they advocate for themselves in that process.
That's very important. Do you have a mental health component at all?
We absolutely do. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And well, I've been doing this for 21 years. I will tell you, it's night and day between when I started and now, as far as the amount of mental health, anxiety, depression, et cetera, that our students are dealing with. I would say it's quite common now for students to be dealing with these things, whereas when I started, it was quite uncommon. Okay? And I just think that there's been a big rise. We could do a whole podcast on that and my theories on that. But so yes, we realized many years ago, I just called my staff together. I said, we can't ignore this. We have to. So we bring in every year, we're bringing touch points in with mental health, making sure students understand that we're there to support them. We're not mental health professionals, but we have partnerships with mental health professionals. So we can, take them to those organizations, et cetera. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, so in Atlanta, I volunteered with and sat on the board of a nonprofit, Gwinnett Chat Outreach, where the mission of Ryan Cox was to mentor young folks from 13 to 18 years of age and give them exposure, change their environment, and give them some experiences that they can take home. And number one push was universities. And what we found was when it came to African-American and Hispanic students, they were encouraged not to go to college and to go to a 2-year school or a technical college. And one of the things that he really did was to combat that, to take these young people to a university, take them to a campus, because like you said, sometimes parents don't have the time, the resources, and so forth to get out to these universities. And then we would expose them to jobs, like taking them to the Georgia Aquarium so they could see what a marine biologist or some, any facet of jobs. And so with that, he would always run into funding challenges. How did you overcome any challenge that you may have had? Funding sources, creating these partnerships. What were some of the challenges and how did you overcome them?
I got to tell you what, when I first started STEP, there were so many people that said to me, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Me. Yeah, exactly.
I know that's right.
You don't know a lot of wealthy people. You've never worked in this space before. You've never this, you've never that, blah, 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 on and on and on. And it was kind of like that. It's just like, okay.
Charlie Brown.
And, now I'm going to go do it, because when you feel passionate about something, you just do it, And so I kind of realized from a get-go, like, you just need to do the work and not get too concerned about how all the ways it could fail. Just do the work. And honestly, at the beginning, it just takes talking to people. Just talk to as many people as you can, get as many meetings as you can, show, share your vision. People will come on board. And I want to tell you, we have been funded. We are a nonprofit. We are 100% on donations. Like, we run 100% on donations. So individuals and family foundations tend to be where we get the most support. We have never gotten a government grant.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, I've never applied for a government grant. And you know why? Because when I looked into that years ago, I'd have to hire a staff member just to report on that on that government grant. And I was like, you know what? We're a small, lean organization. Like, I don't have that that's not, so now, I mean, it's kind of interesting, and it'll probably be a good thing for us. Right.
So we've talked about what some of the barriers may have been or are. What's some of your greatest or biggest rewards with your students and outcomes that you've had with your students?
Well, I'm honestly, kind of on my deathbed, I'm going to think what I was really happy about was launching these spectacular young people into a future where they're in the room.
T-shirt.
Where they're in the room. I love that.
They're in the room. Like, first of all, these are spectacular human beings. I mean, they deal with so much in their lives, and with all that, to be working hard in school and doing everything, holding down a job, taking care of siblings, doing well in school. Like, these are the kids we need to invest in, right? And these are young people we need to invest in. And then they're going to be, and honestly, even at these institutions, because let me backtrack, the schools that guarantee to meet 100% of financial need, they just happen to be the most highly ranked schools in the country.
I love that. That's
those
what I love to hear.
Institutions historically are predominantly white.
Okay.
Predominantly white and predominantly wealthy. Okay. Historically. So now we got students coming, from, I mean, and it's interesting when you think of our students, right? We never pick on gender, and we don't pick on ethnicity. We never have. It's never been a part of it. It's like low income, first gen of college. That's what we're looking at. Right. We work in Arizona, so demographically, a lot of our students are Latino, right? Okay. But we have
just because of where you are.
We have the full mix of ethnicities, right? Just the full mix. But so they're actually coming from a very non-diverse situation. Think about it. Because they're considered the diversity, right? But they're coming from a not very non-diverse situation, and now they're going to a place where, gosh, all of a sudden
they're in the minority.
A lot of people don't look like them. A lot of people don't come from where they come from. A lot of, one of my students said, "Gosh, they've all gone to summer camp. They all went to summer camp together, or they're doctors, and the moms or parents are doctors, lawyers. They spend the summer in Europe. They like." The socioeconomic shift for our students, it really can lead to a lot of imposter syndrome for going to these places. And it's a really, really, really tough transition. And I will tell you, we bring our alumni back to talk to our seniors as we are working at the end of that senior year, so that they can see students that came from where they came from. And they can hear from those students that, yes, in fact, I felt that when I went to these institutions, but I got through that. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do, or anybody's going to be able to do, to keep a student from feeling imposter syndrome, but at least they can understand that they're not alone, and that very successful people that have gone before them have felt it and gotten through it.
Yeah. And even sure that you have... Sorry, girl. And even making sure you with that mental health component, so that they know that they do not have to be less of themselves to be accepted by other people. To 100%. To be in that space. Yeah. So you always need to show up 100% authentically yourself, and making sure that they have the support so that they can own their own identity. Because I mean, being an African American woman, go through that all the time.
100%.
Absolutely. And it's very important. Go ahead.
And it's important for them to understand that institution is becoming better because they are there.
Right.
That they are actually, because it's very easy, you're okay. First of all, you're going into incredibly rigorous courses, much more rigorous than anything you've dealt with in high school, even if you've taken the most challenging courses, right? You're going into discussion-based classes, which are not where our students typically come. The high schools that they come from don't typically have those. Now, private high schools have those a lot, right? So the people coming from private, wealthy high schools, they know how to work in that. Our students don't necessarily know, right? So you can see how they could feel that way. But what we really try to instill with them, with our alumni coming back and talking with them, is by you being there, like, you are making that situation better. You know, you're making that community better. You're making, like, you are a gem in that situation.
And
Right?
so, given the current political climate, what is the commitment to these students once they get on campus to diversity and keeping them in school? What supports are the schools putting in supports or have supports that are specific to the needs of the students that are coming in from this program?
Yeah, and other low income students around the country coming in, et cetera, et cetera. These schools, it's probably a group of about, I don't know, 60, 70 schools that
Oh, wow.
a lot of people would recognize their names, like I said, top schools in the country. But they've especially in a more recent past history, right? They're super committed to making it so the students can be successful at their institutions, right? Now, there was, before the current administration, there was a lot of, unfortunately, there's been an attack on DEI and that sort of thing.
That's the reason why I asked the question.
Yes. And listen, I work with schools a lot of these institutions. I really do honestly feel in their bones they're as committed as ever to supporting students coming from all backgrounds. And there's lots of opportunity. There's like there's always the first gen group on campus, right? There's professors that were first gen themselves, that some institutions have, professors that are first gen themselves that are really supporting the students as they come in. There's affinity groups, right? There's housing that might be, this is the Latino house or whatever,
Dorms,
right?
yeah.
So there's clubs and all sorts of ways. What we really encourage our students to do is reach out to those clubs where you are going to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to feel surrounded by your people and have that support system there,
Yeah, your
and
network.
I asked that because just recently schools like Harvard and I think maybe even Columbia got rid of their, like, they may have had like a Black student union that had a building or an office where students would congregate because they had familiarity, and that's where they got their support from. And so some of these schools, like some of the larger schools, have now done away with any sort of
that ecosystem and support system for one
that
another.
ecosystem. And so I just wondered if you'd heard from any of your students who are on campus currently that some of those resources are being removed.
There's no doubt you'd have to live under a rock, right, to not understand that these institutions are being
Under attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out how to navigate this
within the
confines
of the regulations that they've been given.
Yes. And I honestly believe that, first of all, luckily so far, like first gen has not been attacked. Like first gen to college, first gen in your family to attend college, and the recognition that those students might need some additional support, right? Or have an ability to meet as a group to support each other, et cetera, right? Low income also, right? First gen low first gen low income, FGLI is the little, and within that can encapsulate quite a few groups, right? And I really do believe that our institutions of higher learning are still as committed to supporting students as they've ever been. They just now have certain guardrails around that what, you can name things, or it's very it's incredibly, it's what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's just
so, and because I understand what you're saying, because one of the big schools just decided that they were going to have, I think it was free tuition for students with family income under, I think it was $100,000 or something like that, that were coming to their college. Like, they would have free tuition. So that's one way to get for that commitment.
But that's what I'm saying is these schools all along. So when a school says something like that, right? What people understand is tuition's part of it, but tuition is not the full cost of college.
Oh, yes,
right?
I know.
So there's tuition, there's housing, there's food, there's
transportation costs,
there's personal expenses, there's books and supplies, right? The institutions that we expose our students to, when they are looking at the cost of attendance, it's all of that.
So are the students receiving stipends as well?
What's that?
Are the students receiving stipends as well?
Yes. Well, some, I'm working with all the financial aid awards every year. Some schools will even go beyond, well, that's not true. So there are the build costs. Okay. The build costs are tuition, room, and board. That's billed. Okay. But then there's the unbilled costs, where they're estimates, right? What's it going to cost for you to get here? What are your personal expenses going to be? What are books and supplies, right? And something that universities don't talk a lot about, but you got to have health insurance.
Yes.
Every school,
live on campus. That's right.
Yeah. So these are all costs that are real, but not specifically billed to you, right? Billed to the family. So when you think about what I think a good financial aid award is, if all the bill costs are paid and it's also covering those estimated expenses, because you could estimate that a student's personal expense might be, I don't know, $3,000 a year. Well, they could be really frugal and have a personal expense of only $500 a year, right? Depends on how spendy you are, right? So if a school is really covering all that, they really are, and also the cost of flying out there and flying back, like, they really are making it so that it doesn't cost anything to the family at all.
Awesome.
And that's an incredible commitment.
Yeah, that
absolutely.
is.
What would you give, and what advice would you give to first generation students in terms of how they can be a part of this program? And then the other piece, what advice would you give to other institutions, educators, how they can become a part of this program and start something beyond Arizona?
Okay, first let me give advice to students, regardless of whether they're applying to STEP or not, right? Low-income students, whether you're first in the family to go to college or not, you need to take, this is my advice, take the most challenging courses in high school, in your high school, okay? And do the work that it's going to take to excel in those courses. This is what I say to my students. Think about this. We're getting financial aid awards, gift aid from these schools of $90,000 plus, okay? When you do this, when you work hard in high school, that's like getting a $90,000 a year job right out of high school. Think about it. So is it worth it for you to work? And what we say to our students is, if you can possibly not hold down a job, some students have to support their family, but your focus should be school, if at all possible, 100% school, because that's going to lead to great opportunity. Okay. So that's the advice for the students. And then look for those. You can Google it. Google schools that meet 100% financial need. It's not a mystery who those are, right? And you apply to those schools. Okay. So for somebody that, like, if I had to quickly give advice for somebody that's not in STEP, right? That's what I do. Don't get turned off by the price tag. That won't be your price tag.
So shoot for the higher price schools, because they offer the larger financial aid packages.
Shoot for the schools that meet full financial need.
Full financial need.
Those will be the top ranked schools in the country. And I'm not just talking about universities. I'm talking about amazing colleges like Bowdoin College, Smith College, Pomona College, right? Schools that people haven't generally heard of that are the top ranked schools in the country, in addition to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Stanford, that everybody's heard about. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at those colleges, because also the colleges can be a really supportive environment. Okay.
Nice.
And then for students that are in Arizona, again, take those, if you can take algebra in 8th grade, take it, right? And in your freshman year, take those honors courses and apply to STEP in your sophomore fall. We don't have to come in. We have no partner high schools. Anybody can apply to STEP within Arizona. You just have to be able to get to our workshops.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Nice. So,
and then for the outside sources,
or is it in one city?
We work in metropolitan Phoenix and Tucson, but we have students come in from Rio Rico and Nogales, like rural areas, as long as they can come in and get to our workshops.
And how often are the workshops?
Once a month for 3 hours. That's it. And then we do a lot of stuff online. We do, a lot of stuff like via Zoom and do individual advising and that sort of thing with our students. So, and for somebody out there that wants to start this, this is the thing. I think the local initiative is a beautiful thing, right? Versus these maybe national organizations that do it. Like, you're in your community. It just takes a commitment to be able to advise these students through this and their parents through this process. And that's what's needed. I don't think Arizona is unusual to have that counselor to student ratio. Right. There is just such a need. I think so much in so many schools, the counselors are just consumed with keeping kids in high school that are at risk of dropping out, that you're not really spending time with the kids that really have tremendous potential, but nobody's paying attention.
But nobody's paying attention.
They're not causing a problem.
Because that squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? How can our listeners support STEP's mission?
I tell you what, if you Google STEP College Prep or STEP Expedition, we're going to pop right to the top of that Google search and go to our website. We have an incredible website. I think it's really well laid out with our student stories and what we're doing and what our program is. And we certainly have a support page. So look at that. My contact information is there. There you go. And I think that's a great way. In Arizona, I'll just say we are a qualifying charitable organization for Arizona tax credits. This is the most enlightened thing. One of the most enlightened things that Arizona does is, for qualifying nonprofit organizations, you can take your Arizona tax dollars and you can support with a free donation. You can take those tax dollars and support organizations. It's free. You're either paying it to the state government or you're supporting nonprofits, and you just put it on your tax return. And even if all that money has come out of your paycheck already to pay those taxes, you'll get a refund.
Oh, wow.
It's a free donation.
Oh,
and
awesome.
One of the things is I wish I could do more education on that in Arizona, because I don't think people really understand that it's actually a free donation. I max out.
Is it on your website? Does it say that on your website?
When you go to the support page, it talks about the tax credit.
And for our listeners who are listening and not seeing the video, that is stepexpedition.org. Again, stepexpedition.org/impact to find out how you can donate to this very, very successful college prep program. But 96%, that is an awesome number that not a lot of programs.
Yeah, I'll tell you a statistic that several years ago, the Arizona Board of Regents looked at, for students that graduate high school in Arizona, they looked at the college completion rate of high school graduates from Arizona. Okay. And they found that 50% of the public high schools in Arizona had a college completion rate of 5% or less.
Oh.
50%.
Wow.
So the need is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
And
a
what
disconnect.
I think in every time we have, we do an outreach, we're doing outreach right now to high schools because our application is open and we're trying to reach sophomores and tell them about STEP. And my biggest thing is I just want to get to as many students that we really could help as possible, because there are so many students that have every ability to go on to college and be successful in college.
Amen.
And if they don't have
Amen.
the guidance, because if their parents, God bless them, like if their parents had to work and didn't even get through elementary school or middle school or high school, you can understand that if that child graduates from high school, they've already blown way past the goalpost, right? And so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of our housekeeping questions, we are advocates to silence the shame with mental health, and with all the work that you do addressing all these social issues, what is your number one go-to to help and protect your mental wellness?
I will tell you, and it always has been, getting out in nature, 100%. Going for a hike, mountain bike ride, getting out on the ocean, just being out in nature. To me, everything else falls away, and it's meditative. It's all encompassing, like it's like a big hug.
Yes.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And thank you for the work that you're doing with young people to open doors and changing lives and futures. And to our listeners, as always, we want to thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.